Joined live in studio with Robbie G,
Yes, y'all.
hip-hop artist from Guelph, Ontario. What a beautiful city indeed.
Yes.
All right, my friends, so before we start this interview, have you always lived in Guelph?
Yes, yeah, born and raised in Guelph my whole life. I've moved around a little bit, but mostly just around the area. I lived in Mississauga for a little bit, in Fergus for a bit, but mostly, Guelph's the home.
Now, have you been to do you go to a lot of Guelph Storm games?
I used to, like 6, 7, 8 years ago when I was younger,
Right. That's like pretty much the only thing I did when I lived up in there for university. That's all I spent my money is just going to the bars and the Guelph Storm games. So.
The bar scene's big down there.
It is good. It's one of the best in the area. I think it's better than Toronto. Toronto's just good because it's a big city, right?
Yeah,
but
no, they got nice spots and lots of people, like the university crowd, because the University of Guelph there, it draws a lot of people, and a lot of them are just up there on their parents' money, you know what I mean? Just out there to blow it at the bar at night times and not show up to class.
That was me for a little while. Then I had to work. I worked at the hospital there, and I'd see I'd be going out, and they'd be going out, and be like, I would guess which one I would see at the hospital, like on my way to at work, and usually every night I'd see at least one person I knew in the hospital from drinking too much. So, all right, my friend. So you're a hip hop artist, and you've always been doing hip hop, and you're passionate about it. Well, let me ask you, when did you start doing hip hop?
I started about 6, 7 years ago now, when I was in high school, about grade 10, I think, 9 or 10. And yeah, I just got addicted to it, man. I heard the hip-hop music I was listening to for a while, but it took me a while before I actually put the pen to the page. One of my friends inspired me. He was writing some stuff, and I was just like, hey, I could try that out. And I just started writing some bars to some beats, and still doing it since.
So now you just kind of answered one of my next questions, which is, do you write to a beat, or do you find a beat to fit your songs?
It depends. A lot of my stuff is written towards the beat. Like, I'll get the beat and then I'll write it to it. But like, there's been times where you've got these lines going through your head and you don't have a beat, so you just write it down on the pad and you find it later. And actually, the longest period of time I was locked up 2 years ago for 6 months, and I wrote so much stuff while I was in there, and I came out pretty much with an entire CD. I just found beats for it, laid it down, and put it together. So there's a lot you can do either way.
Now, what has been the biggest challenge in your career so far? You have an interesting career nonetheless. You have a lot of songs on Reverb Nation. You have like 73 songs?
73 that are up on Reverb, but like in total, I'd probably say it's close to 300-400 tracks by now.
Holy, that's probably the most I've had by any artist in here. That's 400 tracks. Now, what has been the biggest challenge in your career then?
The biggest challenge, I believe, is not having the proper funding, not having money backing you. Like, my parents aren't rich. I come from a super wealthy family, so I can't always rely on them to just like fork over money into my career. I hear from some people, this country singer in Guelph, his dad's already put in $100,000 into his daughter's music career. Imagine if you had somebody that would just give you $100,000 to put into your career. You know what I mean? You can blow up off that. That's one of the main reasons I believe that Drake became so famous so quick, is because he had a lot of money stashed from doing the show, right?
Yep.
And,
that show was done here.
That
show was filmed here.
Oh,
part
crazy,
of it was
crazy.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I didn't know that.
The original one, I don't know where it is now, where it's done now, but apparently that's what I'm told. People base their education decision off that fact by coming here.
Crazy.
Sad, I know.
No. A lot of his fame definitely did come off of he's a talented singer. I'm not gonna say that he's not, but at the same time he's had a lot of money backing him, and I think that's the biggest challenge that I've had to overcome, is just to understand that like, you don't need that. As long as you really, really want it and you drive hard enough, like, you're going to get it. Think about Oprah Winfrey's story, where she talks about how she was, like, broke as you can get, brokest out there, and now look at her. She is like $1 billion woman. So
exactly. And not only is she broke, she went through rape, and she just basically walked into a radio station and they gave her a spot, and there we are now talking about this woman from Mississippi. So
it can be anyone.
Yeah, exactly. So talk to me about your music now, like where you're at currently and where you see yourself sort of in the future.
Currently, I'm really happy with my sound. I've gotten really familiar with it and gotten to know myself through my lyrics, and have a product now that I can say is really solid to go out to the listeners. Real hip-hop, sending a message, conscious lyrics. And all I see right now for the future is just the forward of that path, getting the music a lot better, getting it out to the people. Releasing my first official album, which is coming out later on this year, and it's dropping 11/11/11. So on November 11th, get ready for that. It's going to be crazy.
Make a big wish.
Some good features on there, and just having fun with hip hop and really bringing back the positive messages that are lost in today's hip hop in the mainstream that people don't really hear. That's why I thank you for bringing me on the radio show here and showcasing that, because a lot of radio stations out there, they don't listen to that voice that never gets heard.
That's what we like to do here. This is why we do what we do, and that's not just me that works really hard. There's a few other guys that put a lot of time in and help in any way they can, and so we all are passionate about this. So we thank you for coming on and taking the time.
No doubt.
Now, who are you influenced by musically? Who would you say your biggest influences, or maybe there you have more than one, but who do you think that is?
Biggest influence is definitely Nas. Nas is at the top. He's definitely been my favorite rapper ever since I started, but along his lines is Guru and DJ Premier that formed Gangstar, Talib Kweli, A Tribe Called Quest, The Roots, Common, Lupe Fiasco, Cannabis, Jedi Mind Tricks, all the people that really speak, with conviction and passion behind what they're saying. They're not just throwing some stupid, clever line at you. They're actually intricately placing their words so that it makes a difference in your life, and that's the kind of stuff I listen to.
Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years, or maybe even the next year?
In the next year, I see myself doing the same thing I've been doing, which is just making music, but now it's stepping up to another level. We've had an established studio running like a business in Guelph for about 6 months now, called Revolution Media Studios, and we're now moving to a downtown location in Guelph, 121 Wyndham Street. So that's going to be really big. I'm excited for all the things that's going to bring to the table, and we're also getting a venue as well. So we have a bar to operate for shows and just for anything, right? So we'll have the studio and the venue, and I'm excited to see that grow in the business side of that things. But as far as an artist, I just see myself getting out there a little bit more, maybe have a video up on Much Music sometime soon, and just killing people with this real hip hop, trying to get it to the brains that the stuff that you're hearing on the mainstream radio is not hip hop. It's not. Real hip hop is from the soul.
It's interesting that you mention rappers like Nas, or hip hop artists like Nas, and because I like Nas myself. I listen, and I find that he does speak with conviction, and I listen to your stuff, and it sort of kind of reminded me a bit of Nas, just the words, not obviously the sound. The sound's obviously different, but just the way that you speak in your songs is very clearly passion there. As I see it, I heard it and I thought Nas, Jadakiss is the first two that run through my head. I mean,
Jada for sure. Big ups, Jada.
What else have you done in your career? I know this sounds like a weird question to ask, but I was just going through the bio here, and what else have you done that really stands out to you as an artist?
To be honest, it's not so much what I do, but the reaction that I get. There's those critical moments when I get off stage and there's people that come up to me and speak to me and tell me how their music's influencing them, and they're just I had an old man, 47 years old, almost in tears because of just the stuff that I was saying on the mic, and that stuff that inspires me and helps me. And those are the moments that I think I really remember more than, opening up for this artist or doing that show or making that record. I feel that connection when I connect with a fan that, heard the message, appreciates the message, and lets me know that.
How has social media helped you then as an artist grow and get your name out there? I know it's an obvious question.
Big time. You cannot get anywhere without, the social media marketing like Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, that's dead now, but I used to use it. You know what I mean? YouTube. It's big. It's very, very big because, as I was saying, a lot of the underground music doesn't get played on the mainstream radio wave, so you've got to find other means and media to get that music out to the listeners, and one of the most helpful ones has been Facebook. Definitely Facebook.
Now, looking at your CD here, you've got 3 songs that you really want to play. I'm guessing they're the ones that are starred here.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about My Own Way, Wake Up, and We Hold Mics. Let's talk about these 3 songs and just what we can expect to hear out of them before we play them.
Okay, well, the first one that I definitely want to hit the listeners with is a track called Wake Up. and it's featuring an artist named Cannabis. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a pretty big artist doing his thing. He's come into Toronto a few times now. The last time he was down here was for the Guru tribute with J. Rue the Damager, and he was there, and also Nova Lee Rockefeller and a couple other great artists. But Cannabis has been doing his thing for hip-hop for a while, and this track is basically just a resurgence, you know what I mean? Wake up. Open your eyes, open your minds. Don't be confined by boxes. Don't think in a box. Think outside of the box, you know what I mean? And start to recognize all the things that are really going wrong with the world. We're trying to expose it in this record and let people know, you know, it's time to wake up, time to take the wool off your eyes and stop being deceived by the lies that, you know, major media is trying to feed us.
Besides being an artist, you're also a radio show host as well.
Yes.
In Guelph, Ontario, at the University Campus Radio. It's nice to have a host in here as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me then a bit about, as a host and as an artist, in an artist perspective, how the music industry is today, and what's wrong with the music industry that is what we know it to be today.
Well, that's definitely a big topic on our show at CFRU, is how it's not right. The industry is not set up right now to help out people that really have something to say to the people, to change their minds and to help them in an influential way, in a positive way. Major record labels right now are sucking artists dry. You think you're getting signed to a major deal, you're getting this, you know, big fat check here, but that all goes back to the major record label, and they're not getting any money off of you unless you're making the money. If your record sales aren't going anywhere, then they're dropping you in a second, and they're making you pay for everything they've ever given you. They rape you clean and clear. So you got to watch yourself as artists coming into this game. And, you know, I've seen it happen with enough people getting these really wacky deals that don't make sense. There's a lot of extra jargon that, you know, you got to have a legal lawyer now and a representative to come in there and like scan through it all and make sure that everything's okay. Well, most of the times you think everything's okay, comes to bite you in the end. So
how does one tell what a decent record label looks like, or if someone's offered one, how does one know? Because like you just said, there is a lot of legal jargon. So
yeah, I believe the best way to tell is by who's on the label and who's getting exposure. Is it only the pop singers that are getting exposure on this label, or are all the artists getting a decent amount of exposure? And also you gotta look at who's backing you right now. I don't know if you've heard of Slaughterhouse. They're a really big rap group with Joe Budden, Joel Ortiz, Crooked Eye, and Royce da 5'9", and they just signed with Eminem's record label, which is Shady Records, and I just watched an interview with them talking about that deal, and it's like, it makes sense what they're saying. You know, we've got Eminem co-signing for us, somebody safe. If I was ever to get a record deal, it would have to be with somebody that's like backing the label, that's been through the industry and knows what it's like. Somebody like Eminem or like Jay-Z, Rockefeller Records, something of that nature. There's no way I'm going to accept the deal from anything lower than that. And I know that's, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, you think you're like cocky because of that? No, not at all. I'm not about to get taken advantage of, and I want to know that the person that I work with is the best. So
now then, this is kind of interesting because I've had one artist come in here. I've actually had a few that have had this happen where they get promotional sign, where it's more of a promotional company sort of helping them out. Mm-hmm. Like we have one artist, Envy, who's been signed by Executive Entertainment, and they used to just sort of do two or three artists, and they dropped the other two and just backed Envy, because when they were in here they said it's better to just focus strictly on one artist and push. And what do you think of promotional deals then? Because I don't know how common it is with other artists where it's not a label that's backing you, but if you have your own means to get your stuff recorded, you don't have the way to promote it. What do you think of that sort of idea?
Definitely. There's a lot of that going on in the industry right now, especially in Toronto. A lot of little companies starting up here and there that basically take you under their wing and help you along, maybe help you out getting show promotion and stuff like that. One of the major organizations that I'm linked with in Toronto here is the I Respect Music Entertainment of Canada organization run by Essence, and she does a lot of work with artists in the city, lots of mic checks, just getting different artists out and involved, and gives you promotion and really helps you out. She does up CDs, does up posters, all sorts of different things that can help you out, and also helps you with your Twitter, helps you with all your online marketing, helps you get connected with like SoCan and stuff like that. So, and there's all sorts of little companies like this out in the area. And I think they're great. They're great for artists to get on. Definitely, that's my opinion. Is they're great to get on, but you've really got to watch who you're working with at the same time, because a lot of people, they say a lot. They'll promise you big things. It's not, because they're just trying to be, facetious and try and give you something that they're not able to give you, but they want to big up their name and stuff, and then you find out in the end none of these things are actually happening. And I've seen it with so many different artists. They get this label or that organization saying, oh, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, I'm gonna hook you up with this and that, and then it doesn't happen for them, and they lose a lot of hope. And it's like, it's a dream killer for a lot of these artists, and I feel it's so wrong to take advantage of them like that. But at the same time, just, some of them are good. You just got to be careful who you're working with.
Is there anything else you want to add before we sort of end off this portion of the interview, before we play your music and then we get to with another artist, and then we will come back and we'll talk with you again because we want to have you on here because you're also a host, so why not co-host me for a little bit?
All right, I can do that. But yeah, so basically, last thing I just want to say to the people is stay conscious of what you're listening to, you know what I mean? Don't just let things come to your ear. Choose what really comes into your ear. You don't always have to listen to the radio when it comes on. You can switch to a different station. It's nice. This is an internet station, right?
Yep.
So if you don't like what you're hearing on there, you can switch to another one. Hopefully you'll stick around though and listen to the music that's about to be played to you by myself, Robbie G, and a few of the artists that I'm working with. But yeah.